Hey everybody, Mark Engman, Blue Spruce Solutions. I'm going to do a test today on these ceramic dishes. I had mentioned that with my X550 PV I'm able to do tests of consumer products like ceramics. So I have a selection of different dishes and different colors, and we're going to do testing on all of them. Normally these tests take 30 seconds each, so I'm going to do all these tests and I will fast forward so you don't have to watch me and wait. Here we go. And here are the results of the test. Let's just go through these really quickly. You can see that the blue soup plate at the top left, 5,832 parts per million. The green soup plate, 654 parts per million. The red bowl, 3,898 parts per million. The blue bowl, 629 parts per million. I don't know why the blue bowl is so much less than the blue soup plate. The coffee cup, 31 parts per million. And then the other two dishes, these are not Pottery Barn. I think we got these at Target. They're lower, 42 parts per million and 32 parts per million. All right, so we have all these results. There is a lot to unpack here, so please bear with me. I will say on these Pottery Barn dishes, we've been using those for almost 30 years, and I had no idea what the lead level was. Some of those seem pretty high to me. Luckily, neither myself, my wife, nor my kids have ever tested high for blood lead levels, so we haven't been poisoned by these dishes. Does that mean they are safe? Well, that's a different question. The fact is there is no federal regulation that limits the amount of lead that can be in ceramic dishes. There is a limit on how much lead can leach into foods from those ceramic dishes, and I'll show you the table. They're pretty low. How do you test that? Well, basically you have to boil vinegar in them for a while and let it sit, and then measure the lead content in the liquid. That's obviously kind of hard to do. Now, while there is not a limit on the amount of lead that can be in ceramic dishes, there is a federal limit on the amount of lead that can be in products intended for children. I'll show you those here. So according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, lead in products designed or intended primarily for children under 12 years old cannot contain more than 100 parts per million of total lead content, and surface coatings used in children's products must not contain a concentration of lead greater than 90 parts per million. So it would seem to me that if you want to minimize child exposure to lead, those would be good limits to look for. 100 parts per million in general, or 90 parts per million for coverings at a lower level. So if you're a parent, particularly if you have young kids, what are you supposed to do? There's actually a great web page on the New York City Department of Health website that talks about ceramics. I'll share that link with you so you can get some more information. Here are my suggestions. If you have especially vintage ceramic dishes or pottery and you don't know the lead content, please don't use them to serve food, particularly for kids. If you do have ceramic dishes and you don't know the lead content and they're chipped or cracked or otherwise worn out, don't use them for serving food, especially to kids. There are home test kits you can buy to supposedly test for the presence of lead in products, including ceramics. Here's a picture of them here. You can try those at home. Just be aware that they are not intended for ceramics, and you can get a lot of false positives and false negatives, so you can't really rely on them for a definitive test on the amount of lead in your ceramics. If you test your ceramics and they show up as containing lead, certainly do not use them for food consumption, especially for kids. There are several websites that make recommendations for unleaded or lead-safe dishes. So I poked around and pulled up a few of them. You can see them on the list here. Now, I'm not endorsing any of these, but they seem reputable and they give you ideas of places you can look for lead-free dishes or lead-safe dishes. Finally, I just wanted to note that there are a lot of organizations, including my former employer, Pure Earth, that are working to eliminate the use of lead in glazes and ceramics around the world. So, for example, check out Pure Earth's Mexico website. They're doing a ton of work to convince traditional potters to quit using lead in their products, which is really great. So, to wrap up here, just given what we know about the damage that lead can cause, especially to children, but also to adults, let's not take any chances. Make sure that your ceramics are safe. If you don't know, don't take any chances. And, this is a learning experience for all of us. So thanks for watching, and I'll be in touch with something else soon.